A lot of times, like I say, China and a lot of these other places, like they would say 1,000 trees or 100,000 trees planted, or the forest of 100,000 trees. That was actually my forest, like I say, or one of my forests. I had probably 8 or 9 forests all around the world that were mine, and I let certain amount of trees get cut. Local population could go and cut a couple trees and other things. Like I said, I had wood trees, I had maple trees, I had hardwood trees, I had all kinds of lumber. I would let certain if you're living in the area, I would let people go ahead and chop down a few trees by hand. They couldn't use machines or whatever. There's rules about it. They could skim a little bit and take a few trees, but as long as they didn't like and just like start clear cutting my trees, that's when I started getting annoyed because those trees were for my company and for me. And that's why sometimes you have these great big 1,000-year-old trees because people were actually good at not cutting down my trees and they actually just grew to be really big trees. Trees will generally just keep on going until they die or something kills them. But there's a certain amount of trees that people can cut down, and that's fine. And there's also the germination or replanting of trees. For a while, for a minute there, we were actually getting deforested. There was a minute when actually like almost 70% of the trees in the world were actually cut down. We actually clear cut like almost 70% of all the vegetation on the planet Earth, which is rather ridiculous. Humanity was going a little crazy with the tree cutting. Due to diversity and other changes, we've actually stopped that quite a bit, and now we have a very healthy tree population. Like I say, believe it or not, people couldn't hand plant trees fast enough. They kind of did, and we did a couple things where there's like the cedar or acorn planter. There's this machine that was an acorn planter or whatever that could plant trees or whatever. They called it acorn planter, but it wasn't really. I don't it was a germinate or whatever, acorn or whatever. I don't really know much about it, to say the truth. I just know that was one of the things I paid for, was basically the planting of pine trees and other things. Anyway, and then people were telling me about the acorn planter. Anyway, though, and like I say, another thing that people loved is that on the order sheet, individuals could actually order a tree from me. Like I say, one of the things at the stock market, you could go and there'd be maple sapling, and people were like, maybe I'll get one of them. It's almost like a jail where it's like maple sapling. It's like some people didn't even know what it was they were ordering, and they're like, "We got the tree. You sent us a whole tree." It's like, yeah. If you order on the order sheet and you want a tree, we will send you a tree. Anyway, yeah, a long time ago, 1,800 years ago, or whatever. 1800, 1900, 1920 or so, people would order trees from me, little saplings, and they could go plant them in their backyard. And but more than that, most of the tree planting was basically they would take the seeds, they would take the seeds and put it in this bucket, and they would kind of coat them with this special stuff or whatever. It was like a powder or something like that, that basically had all the nutrients and everything in it, and kind of had this gooey stuff that made it stick or something. We had a couple different varieties of stuff to make the trees plant, with a couple of essential nutrients and some other stuff, and some seed activator. They developed the seed activator somewhere around 1920, 1910, somewhere around there. They had seed activator, maybe sooner than that. Probably maybe around 1800, actually, they had the seed activator. Anyway, they would take it and they would take the seeds, whatever, and then they would take it and they would throw it out the airplane, and an airplane would be flying along, and there would be two guys or a guy just grabbing the seeds and go. Later on, with the big cargo planes, as they're flying over, they'd be taking the bags and going, and the seeds would be falling into the air and splat. Some people actually even got hit by the seeds. They're like, I got hit by a seed. Because there'd be people down there sometimes, and my airplanes would be flying over just throwing out the seeds, and they'd be like, it felt like hard rain. Anyway, yeah. So because my aircraft and my seeders weren't exactly too specific about when or where they were dumping the seeds. Sometimes they actually seeded whole towns. Sometimes they would just, so there'd be seeds sprouting in the middle of the road. They actually showed that one time. There, there's this picture of this because an aircraft had gone through and actually seeded, and they seeded the town for some reason. They're supposed to stop before the town, but they actually seeded the town, and a tree just grew right in the middle of the road. One of the seeds went splat, and it actually sat there long enough that it started to grow, and then people would drive around it, and avoid hitting the tree, and and you got this little tree in the middle of the road. It's like, okay, maybe we should move that. Anyway, yeah. So you could. It was also a proof of concept that you could have trees anywhere, even in the middle of the road. Anyway, my trees literally you could. We actually tested out. Like I say, what we would do is we would take a piece of brick or whatever, and then we'd put a seed on top, and it would just with the nutrients and everything, it would just sprout and just start growing, just fine. The roots didn't like the sunlight, but with a little light shield or whatever like that, they would just happily grow. Anyway, they did that a lot. In fact, that was part of our advertisement things on the TV, is that our seeds could grow anywhere. So anyway, it was basically, I forget, it was Germany basically, but also China. Like I say, Chinese scientists. Oh yes, very very technical. Would do it too. Like I say, Germany shared with England and shared with China, and also Russia and other countries. And so all the top scientists were all together on how to do this stuff, and we were working on stuff like that. And I was funding it and financing it and directing it, going, go, 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 go. Anyway, so, and like I said, we were all together on it, in on it. Like Auschwitz to other groups and other parties, like I say, I had so many Auschwitz sites. I had 36 all around the world. And then I was always building more camps because, like I say, there'd be a war or something like that, and my ships would go pick up people. Come on, let's go. And we would take them to a new place or whatever, or there'd be overpopulation at one city or something like that, and they'd be like, all right, let's go. And we would be going to another place because, like I said, my aircraft would fly over spots and would be like, okay, there's a spot right there, and there's a spot right there. Yeah, okay, let's see if we can get those. And not to mention, I had my deep underground mines, and I had like the dams planned. So the dams were being built, but the dams it'd be two phases. The dams would be being built in one place, and then they'd be digging a mine in the middle of the valley, and it would be going down and going over, or not in the valley, but just like off to one side, like about a third of the way up or so. They would be digging a corner, and then they would go down, and then they would be digging way down, and then they'd be digging straight across to take the water down to the flatter spot, because they go from the mountains to the flatter spot, and then they would pop up into another pool. So a lot of the water, it goes from the high spots through like a silt barrier, and then down, and then it would flow along, and then it would flow up into this other reservoir, and then from that reservoir, and then it would keep on going too. There, we would do from one high spot, we would do two reservoirs down lower, and basically using gate valves or other ways, or just the fact that basically this pipe gets clogged up so fast, and then it just kind of silts down, and then so the water would slowly percolate down into the lower reservoirs. Anyway, it's all just general. I mean, over the years there were lots of them planned and lots of them done, and it's just one of those things. And nowadays they go, oh, it's underground stream. And it's like, no, that was a very old mine that we dug for something else, and we were just digging and mining, and basically it's just basically been working because you wouldn't know it was there. It looks like a dirt hillside, but inside the dirt, there would be basically this tunnel that goes inside of that. They usually get clogged up with clay or whatever, or silt. Silt usually goes in and clogs them up, but the water still transfers through them. And also, like, that's another way that minerals get collected, because that's the water is going through. Because the ocean water gets minerals or whatever, and then it goes inside of the thing and blah blah, and then it just kind of packs in. I mean, over thousands of years, lots of things happen, but it's like, anyway, yeah. So, anyway, lots of my old undersea projects and stuff like that.